One of the questions I get most often as a Dokkan Battle streamer is, should I pull on this banner? So today, we're going to go ahead and look at the most recent banner, and that is the Fusion or Merged Zamasu and Super Saiyan Trunks Future banner. Most people refer to this particular Trunks as Rage Trunks, so just use whichever one you happen to prefer the most. On this particular banner, it's worth noting that the draw rates seem to have gone down to 10%, which is a pretty big change considering that we've lost 1%. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're at 10%, that's quite a loss. Hopefully, on future banners like the Super Saiyan 4s, it'll go back up to 11% or even higher. Not holding my breath, but hopefully. So let's go ahead and dive right into the meat of this here. So starting off, we have Rage Trunks. You'll notice he's an intelligence unit. Stats leave a little bit to be desired. He has Gallic Gun for super attack, causes immense damage, which is great, and lowers defense. Not too sure how much it lowers defense, but it's a little more notable when he Dokkans. His leader skill, not super great. It's super types, HP, attack, and defense plus 60%. If you don't have a super type leader like say Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, you will probably get some mileage out of Rage Trunks, because you can put him in the leader slot and then run like a friend Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, and you'll actually do quite well in most content. Like the most recent content may be a bit iffy, but you can actually you'll actually get some mileage out of this card as far as a leader goes. The passive skill changes strength key spheres into intelligence key spheres, and attack plus 12% per intelligence key sphere obtained. Honestly, this is pretty much almost unheard of, and it makes Rage Trunks definitely worth noting as a card to use. Because not only does he change key spheres into the relevant type, but he also is a nuker at attack plus 12%, which is incredible. You'll notice that in this particular case, he shares a little bit with Buhan, but he doesn't really require you to fit an entire team around him like Buhan does. But as a nuker, he's amazing. When you Dokkan him, he gets even better. He gets attack plus 15% instead of just 12%, which doesn't sound like much, but every little bit helps. Especially if you have like a whole field full of intelligence orbs and you're going for the nuke. He gains. He doesn't really gain anything particularly spectacular between the transition. He gets. I'm pretty sure he only gets Fierce Battle from Dokkaning, but you know you can definitely do a lot worse than Fierce Battle on our card. So, wow. So, he's one of the best cards to come out in quite some time. If you actually happen to pull this Rage Trunks, pulling on this banner, he will pull his weight. Mono intelligence teams, mono super teams. You could probably put him into putting him into like a rainbow team at your own risk would definitely be at your own risk, because orb changers can kind of orb changers have a tendency to kind of ruin plans and make it more difficult to feed key orbs, key spheres to other units in your lineup. But he fits into just about everywhere that's not an extreme type team. So definitely worth it. Oh, and also worth noting, his super attack changes and it greatly lowers defense. So also super handy. And sorry, another thing. He gets an extra 10% HP attack and defense on his leader skill and super type key +1. So if you have him Dokkan and you don't have anything better, like again Super Vegeta Blue, then he is spectacular as a leader until you get something better. Okay, so the the verdict is this card is amazing. You'll again, the stats leave something a little bit to be desired, but he gains quite a bit statistically when he Dokkans, like over 9,000 in HP and attack. Defense goes over 4K. It's absolutely crazy what he gains when he Dokkans. Oh, plus another thing. Wait, there's more. You can actually grind his super attack up using the most recent event. So not only do you get an amazing character who becomes even better when he Dokkans, but you also get a character that you can max out a super attack with, admittedly a bit of a heavy grind, but totally worth it, especially for this card, because he gets a 505% super attack modifier, which is absolutely insane, just fucking bonkers. So, super great card. Definitely worth the grind. If you pull him, then you have a spectacular card in your box. So, moving on from Rage Trunks, finally, goodbye. We have Fusion Zamasu. See leader skill. He's basically the opposite of Rage Trunks. For extreme types, it's HP attack and defense. And as you can imagine, when he Dokkans, he gets the +1 extreme type key. And then 70% HP attack and defense. So if you don't have Rose, or if you don't have Rose, this is a great card because this will get you started on making a mono extreme team until you can pull, say, Rose, or you start dabbling more into like mono extreme teams, like mono type extreme teams. And when we start getting those later on, you'll notice his passive skills is a bit strange. As attack plus 100%, you'll notice that there's no requisite for it, which automatically makes it a great passive skill. because it's plus 100% attack. But he pretty much relegates himself specifically to extreme type teams because he gives super type allies a little bit of a debuff. So Fusion Zamasu, Merged Zamasu, whatever you want to call him, he's basically only for extreme type teams. So that kind of puts him in like a bit of a tough spot. I completely lost my train of thought there. It puts him in a bit of a tight spot because you can't really put him into like a fused fighter team because most of the fusions are super type fusions. So you can't really put him in a fused fighter team because he'll just he'll make things just that little bit tougher. And so yeah, just if you pull this card, you're obviously just going to use him for mono extreme. You wouldn't even really consider using it for mono tech because probably most of your tech cards have are super cards. So you definitely want to use him in an environment where you can take full advantage of him and he's not bringing your team down. Lightning of Absolution causes immense damage to enemy and lowers defense. Exactly like Super Trunks. In this particular case, he lowers defense in his first form, and then when he Dokkans, it greatly lowers defense. When he Dokkans, his passive becomes 120% attack, negative 10% attack for super type allies. So it becomes less of a liability, but still, you definitely don't want to use him on a team with other super units if possible. He doesn't really gain anything from his Dokkan as far as link skills go. Like Trunks, he gets Fierce Battle, and again, you can definitely do worse than Fierce Battle. So, yeah, I mean that's the long and the short of that. When he Dokans, he's definitely really good. He will casually be hitting for very high numbers because his stats are very similar to Rage Trunks when he Dokans. Another great thing is that you can grind his super attack up before you Dokkan him. Well, you can do it after you Dokkan him, but why would you? But you can grind the event and get him to super attack 10 before you Dokkan him. And just like Rage Trunks, he has a 505% super attack multiplier at super attack 10, which is, again, super bonkers, especially with an immense damage multiplier. So he hits like a truck, like just absolutely crazy. So an amazing addition to any mono extreme team. Even if you have Rose, you would definitely want this particular unit because he just really complements a mono extreme team. So moving on from Fusion Zamasu, great card again, obviously. I'm going right past him. So Vegito Blue, there's really not much to say about this card. It's been out for a long time. Super type key +2 when he Dokans, it's +3, 50% HP attack and defense. Really opens the door for you to use any of your strongest super units. And with the added bonus of the fact that he can really tackle a lot of the end game. In addition to that, immense damage to the enemy on his super attack counters. Has high chance to launch up to 2 additional attacks. It's almost guaranteed you're gonna get at least a 1, but it's pretty common they get at least 2. I remember hearing something that was like 50% chance for super attack on additional attacks, but I'm not too sure about that. That just doesn't sound right to me, so I'm not 100% sure. But he counters. He takes a little less damage from normal physical attacks, so really strong card on an already really strong banner. So pulling any of these 3 units is spectacular. So yeah, not much to say here. Vegito Blue's been around here for so long that pretty much everybody knows his form and function. One of the most notable things about this event is that this particular Super Trunks, well actually, this one and this one both get Dokkan Awakenings. Does that really make them any good? When the base form of these particular cards are not very good. When you Dokkan them, doesn't really become much better. The modifier goes up to Supreme, which is great because if you have him and you don't have anything better, he's going to at least start pulling his own weight. It takes away the requirement for the passive, which isn't really that big of a deal because keys 5 or more, and most mono strength teams or mono super teams, you're already going to have him at plus 6 key to start out with anyway, before any other link skills or anything are support units. So automatically he becomes, automatically he's going to get that extra attack. Like, you can tell how old this card is. And it goes up to 70% at the start of the turn, which is okay. His super attack lowers defense, which is it is what it is. It'll let you hit a little bit harder. As a leader, obviously he's not going to be your first choice. Odds are, even if you're just new and you're just starting out and you're pulling, odds are you're gonna get something that's a lot better than this card as far as the leader skill goes. He becomes all types HP and attack plus 30%, which is not very good. So he gets he actually gets quite a few good link skills: Fierce Battle and Prepared for Battle. are the two. Actually, I think those are the only two that he gets, but they're the most notable. Prepared for Battle is excellent. So as a Dokkan Awakening, it's successful in making the card a lot better. Does it catch it up to the metagame? Not really. It is what it is. For the most part, odds are you're probably going to just have Dokkan Awaken this Super Trunks as a kind of like just to have it for your collection. Like, the art is considerably better when he Dokkans too. So that's another great reason to want to Dokkan this unit if you have him. So if you pull him and you're kind of like new to the game, he'll pull his weight. Dokkaning him will kind of be difficult. So this card would benefit more of like a mid-game player. So moving on to the physical Super Trunks, not that great. You can tell how old this particular card is because extreme damage modifier. His leader skill is attack plus 25% for all types, which was great when this card first came out, but not that great anymore, especially when you can casually pull cards that have double that now. In addition to like HP and defense. So as a leader, you're not going to be using this particular card as a leader. Attack plus 40% at the start of the turn, not that great. And again, extreme damage modifier. So what does he gain when he Dokkans? Well, better art, obviously. That seems to be a trend with the Super Trunks, is that when you Dokkan them, they get way better art. But he kind of becomes like intelligence Ultimate Gohan light, because his passive becomes Ki plus 4 and attack plus 60% at the start of the turn. So he gets a little bit of extra Ki, and if you're running him in like a mono physical or like a mono super team, already he's gonna have 6 Ki. So with the extra plus 4 Ki, there's no requisite for this particular passive skill, so he automatically gets that extra 4 Ki, and he becomes 10 Ki. So he only needs 2 more Ki to launch his super on most teams, and that's not even counting link skills. So getting super attacks off of this character is going to be extremely easy. Supreme damage modifier, which is pretty much par for the course these days, which at least kind of brings him a little closer to the meta. He also raises his attack for 3 turns with this particular super attack, so he'll hit a little bit harder on subsequent turns. And just like the strength Super Trunks, as far as link skills, he gets Fierce Battle and Prepared for Battle, so which are great link skills. So is this a good card to have? Is this a great card to Dokkan? Again, better art, better modifier, better link skills. The passive skill basically guarantees that he's going to get his super attack. So in my personal opinion, this particular Trunks is better than this one, especially when you Dokkan him. So his stats are also pretty good for what he is. Like, he gains about he gains pretty close to 2k, almost 3k in HP and attack, and he gains about a little over a k in defense when he Dokkan. So he'll hit harder, he'll last longer, he'll take less damage when you're using him as a blocker. So compared to the strength Super Trunks, he's amazing. Compared to the rest of the units on this banner, he's not that great. But these particular cards do fill niches. Mono strength teams will want to use this card if you have nothing better. Mono physical teams would definitely benefit from this card. So if you happen to pull either of these cards, that's pretty good. you got some pretty solid you have some pretty solid cards in your box now. You won't cry anymore if you pull this on like a GSSR pull or something in the future. Would you pull on these banners specifically for these? Absolutely not. But if you happen to pull these, you have a nice consolation prize. Obviously you want Vegito, Zamasu, or great Trunks, But if you pull these ones, at least when you Dokkan them, they'll actually pull their weight a little bit. Looking at the other banner cards, which are, spoiler alert, extremely subpar, we have the Agility Super Saiyan Trunks GT. He's pretty par for the course snooker. In a mono agility team, he'll do okay. There's no real way to max out a super attack and make him more useful. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's going to be getting a Dokkan Awakening in the future on JP. But the general rule of thumb is that if it's on JP, we're not going to get it for 6 months. So, not spectacular card. It's definitely not aged well. Then we also have this Tech Super Saiyan Trunks GT. Another card that hasn't aged well. I don't even think this one's going to get Dokkan in the future on JP. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But you can definitely tell how old this card is. Extreme Damage Modifier. He's an okay. He's an okay support. You definitely want to cry if you pull this card on like a Bye Guys or something. Super Saiyan 2 Trunks Teen Strength. I actually have this card myself. He's really not too bad in a mono strength team, but it's another card that's showing its age. And it definitely needs a Dokkan Awakening very, very soon. This particular one, I have this one as well. Not that great. Really not that great. There's really not much to say there. And then this is another card that, again, hasn't aged very well. These cards in general just have not aged very well as far as the meta is concerned. He gets a nice little attack bonus for performing a super attack. But besides that, it's not that great. And then for some reason, apparently, this Kid Trunks, Super Saiyan Kid Trunks, that Dokkan's into the Intelligence Gotenks is on the banner as a banner card. Like, I don't know if it would like count as like a Bye Guys, but if you pull this on a Bye Guys, I'd probably fucking cry if I were to. So, what's the verdict on this particular banner? Early game players are probably not going to want to pull on this banner. For the starters, the cards on this banner are more useful for endgame players, endgame teams. The only card on this banner that's really beginner friendly is Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegito, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. Because he's gonna pull his weight big time for new players. But would you pull on this particular banner if you were new? Absolutely not. You would absolutely not want to pull on this banner at all if you're new. Are you a mid-game player? If so, you might want to more strongly consider pulling on this banner, because you're starting to get to that point where you're starting to Dokkan Awaken your the units that you pulled already. You have more resources to train stuff up, etc., etc. And you're gonna start looking into building mono super teams, mono extreme teams. So if you happen to pull any of these three, then they're going to definitely pull your weight, pull their weight as you start doing more Dokkan Fest events. So these are super handy, super handy. Also, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito is fairly easy to Dokkan Awaken. So, getting him Dokkan Awaken is actually not too bad. Are you an endgame player? If so, you probably already have Rose or Blue, because you've been playing so long. You've probably dropped a ton of stones on the Vegito Blue Rose banners. So if you have one or the other, I strongly do not advise pulling on this particular banner, because the odds of you actually getting the banner cards is just so low, and there's so many trap SSRs on this particular banner. These are the only two. These are the only 3 cards that are actually worth anything on this banner. Once you get beyond that, decent, mediocre. It is a trap banner in every sense of the word. You probably have, if you already have Buhan, if you already have Rose, if you already have Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, you don't need to pull on this banner. Save all of your stones, either for the Super Saiyan 4s, or at the very least, save them for the Strength Cell banner. The Strength Cell banner, especially, spoiler alert, if you've pulled that LR Brawly, you're going to want to pull on Strength Cell, because he's a Strength AoE, and he can do quite a bit of damage, so having that extra AoE on hand will be super, super handy. Other than that, that's pretty much the verdict. Basically, if you're new, consider maybe dropping maybe 50 stones on this banner and see what you get. If you're about mid game, again, maybe 50, 100, depending on your needs and what you already have. And if you're end game, don't even bother. Just absolutely no reason to pull on this particular banner. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you coming to spend some time with me and learn a little bit about the banner, about the new banner. Definitely come stop by the stream sometime. Put a link down in the description for that. And if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, that'd be awesome. So I will see you guys around. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.